as you all know, this movie has a ton of hype surrounding it. A storm's coming, as Selena Kyle said in the trailer. So the hype meter is probably a little less than Dark Knight, but that is probably not going to be matched because of all the stuff that happened with that. However, Nolan has always said that this was his last, but Christian Bale came out with like an interview saying that there was possibility of him doing another one. So does that throw out the him died at the end window, death at the end of the movie? And does that get thrown out? Now people know he's gonna survive, so we'll see. Maybe it was just like saying that just for the hell of it and just throw people for a loop. So as you all know, the story, like I said, all the stuff is minimal research, trailers and basic stuff that I read in magazines and one or two here or there. So it's nothing like the spy photos or the rumors and spoilers. I want to keep spoiler free and as pure as possible going into the movie. However, what I do know is it takes place 8 years after The Dark Knight, but I don't know if it's going to be like 1 year, 8 years in one shot, or it's going to be an 8-year narrative throughout the whole movie. Because at the end of Dark Knight, he was running away from the cops because of Harvey Dent's death. So does he retire after that and takes 8 years off and comes back because of Bane, or does he come back and then fight Bane and gets his back broken, or he breaks the bat and then takes 8 years off to recover, or is it like 2 years here and 1 year here and 3 years here? So we'll see how that goes. It's gonna be interesting to see how they do that expansive narrative for it. I think that's probably a way to not use the Joker again, or get away, because if they did this movie in terms of narrative right after The Dark Knight, then it's gonna be hard to not talk about the Joker. So maybe 8 years, people forget about it, they're recovering from all that chaos that he started. So also you have the teaser trailer where he's talking to Gordon, who's in the hospital bed, asking if he's coming back, does he exist anymore, and it's like he must come back. This evil rises. So and the part where in the third trailer where the kid's asking Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, it's like, is he coming back? And he goes, I don't know. And then also the part where Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character asks Selena Kyle, did they kill him? And she says she doesn't know. So there's some parts in the movie where I guess he has to go away because of other issues, whether he retired or he's injured or he can't go anymore, he just doesn't want to do it anymore. So it'll be interesting to see how, like I said, how they do that narrative. In the prologue, the CIA is already looking for Bane, or like wants to know more about Bane. So he's starting his terror and his chaos, whatever. Like Batman, like The Dark Knight wasn't really a true expansive origin story to the Joker, where he had like his few stories about how he got the scars and whatnot. They didn't really delve into his backstory. I predict the same thing with Bane. I think he's just just gonna be there. Basically, they're gonna talk about his mask a little bit, because in the prologue, the CIA guy asks why does he wear the mask, and then when he finds out he's on the plane, and he asks, if I take that off, will it hurt? And then he goes, oh, it'll be extremely painful. So whether that comes into play or not more expansively is to be seen. I don't think it'll come off at any point in the movie, have like a big reveal, and he's like monster face or whatever. I think that it's gonna stay on just for like the mystery of it. And it looks like they fixed like the audio problems, not audio problems, but lack of understanding clearly what he says from the prologue and the second trailer to the third one. So whether it changes his voice completely, it needs to be seen also. Now, well, I don't think there's going to be an origin to Bane. I think he's going to be part of the League of Shadows. Now, I predicted this in my other video, like the prologue, though I think it makes perfect sense to it, because it will tie up nicely with the whole trilogy arc. Liam Neeson is said to be on set with it, whether those to be flashbacks that they couldn't use from Batman Begins, or he actually is back. Well, no, because in the comic books he never dies because of the Lazarus Pit. So here it's going to be interesting to see how he survived the train explosion from the first one. And then the Marion Quarter, that girl who's from Inception, said she's not playing Talia al Ghul, but that could be just like to throw people off too. So I think an Al Ghul is going to be in this movie at some point, whether it just be minor or major. It's probably going to be bad because furthering my theory of being part of League of Shadows, because he said to the CIA agent in the prologue, it doesn't matter who you are, all that matters is our plan, and that nobody cared about him until he put on the mask.
At least you can talk. Who are you?
It doesn't matter who we are. What matters is our plan. No one cared who I was until I put on the mask.
If I pull that off, will you die?
It would be extremely painful.
So that goes back to Ra's al Ghul talking to Bruce Wayne in Batman Begins, when he was telling himself, if you make yourself more than just a man, you become something else entirely, a legend. So I think, Bane is part of the League of the Shadows and is, taking that to heart also. Because as Joker was Batman's opposite in The Dark Knight, he represented chaos and anarchy and all that, Bane is essentially Batman's darker image. So it's going to be a different challenge. He can match him, for intelligence and strength, physicality. So it's going to be a much different challenge it might be even like a greater challenge for Batman at this point. So it's going to be interesting to see how much of Nightfall they mirror, because they, as Dark Knight took from different elements of like different stories, this one it's going to also. I think mostly it's going to be Nightfall, because some of the scenes, are mirroring that. Like the prison breakout scene shown in the trailer, where he's standing there and all the essentially Arkham Asylum inmates are coming towards him with the guns. That happened in Nightfall, so that was one of the big aspects Bane used in Nightfall, where he broke out all the super criminals from Arkham City, Arkham Asylum I should say, and tested Batman and wore him down to the point of like extreme exhaustion before he actually came and broke the bat. So he was testing him mentally before he actually had that like first big encounter for him when he broke him. So he found out right away also in Nightfall that he was Bruce Wayne. He was just spying on a charity party with Poison Ivy. And he was like looking at the guests, and he saw Bruce Wayne, and he was like, oh, that's Batman. And they were like, his henchmen were like, oh, how do you know? He's like, oh, I just know. So it's gonna be interesting to see how he finds out in this one, whether Ra's al Ghul tells him, or he just finds out on his own. So he's pretty smart. Bane's not the general misconception that he's just like a dumb brute because of the I guess the Joel Schumacher movie. So people are gonna see like what Bane is really capable of, and he is a worthy villain, solo villain for this movie. With the prison breakout, it also leads to a potential revival of Cillian Murphy and the Scarecrow. He was in the beginning of Dark Knight for that little role right in the beginning. So it's be interesting to see if he comes back for another little role or actually helps out with Bane's plans to wear down Batman. In the trailer, there's 2 points that made it clear that what Chris Nolan is trying to get across, and that is hope is lost and faith is broken. So I have good faith that he's going to get those elements out perfectly in the movie. So that pivotal point where the first fight scene between Bane and Batman, or whenever Bane breaks the bat, that it's going to get that tone across. It's going to get that feeling, that emotion across to the viewer. Faith is broken. All hope is lost. That this guy, this Bane, can beat Batman and destroy him. And that is everybody else going to do? What's Gotham going to do? Because now their savior is mercilessly at the hand of this monster. So in Nightfall, he showed the world that he broke the bat and threw him off the building as he rolled down when he broke his back. So they're probably going to do something like that, just to show Gotham now is pretty much Bane's and he's going to run the city however he likes it and nobody's going to stop him. So I think that point's gonna get across. So when he does come back, the other theme of a fire will rise, and you'll rise up from the ashes like a phoenix to take down Bane in classic good guy finally beating the bad guy fashion, and it's going to be awesome. So like the ending fight scene is just going to be a culmination of like everything, the most spectacular, epic fight scene you're gonna have, because you have the street fight, I guess, between the SWAT team, the cops, and like the inmates and whatnot. Catwoman is gonna be fighting with Batman. You know, like I said, if one of the Al Ghul's is coming back, whether it be Ra's or Talia, are they gonna help Batman because, you know, Bane's on the loose, because it's the product of like the League of Shadows, or they're gonna help Bane and it's gonna be like an epic tag team match, Batman versus Bane and like Talia versus Catwoman. So we'll see what that. So I can't wait for that. So that's pretty much for the movie. I don't think he's gonna die, even though he said, you know, giving him everything, and like not yet. I think he's gonna be close to death when he finally pulls it out, and then, you know, retire after, or do another movie, as you know, I said in the beginning of this. So with that, now it's part, like the prediction part of like how much money he's gonna make. The Dark Knight was spectacular and was unforeseen with the amount of money it made. Probably due to the fact that there was so much controversy and hype surrounding the death and like the tragic accident of Heath Ledger. So whether people like to admit it or not, I think that did boost it up because it got people aware of the movie, and it's like, oh, you know, we got to see him now in his final appearance. So I know it's different for the Avengers because that was like just a lead up of all the movies, and actually if it didn't work. So, but that's not the point. So The Dark Knight had a 94% rating on the tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes, which is incredibly high. In terms of comic book movies, Avengers was at 92. I think Iron Man 1 was at 94 also, or 93. It was incredibly high in that one too. The first weekend that Dark Knight, when it released in July 18, 2008, I think it was, did 158 million. That was like top box office honors at the time. So, you know, now that was done, and it made $533 million in its lifetime run. So that was at the time good for second, but then Avatar, you know, was number one. That pushed it down to third, and now Avengers, now it's sitting at fourth. So I predict that Dark Knight Rises on the tomato meter will probably get a 88 to a 90% rating. I don't think Christopher Nolan is going to stumble in this one. You know, there is some movies that, you know, third ones always say are not as good as the first two, or just like any other, like they're not as good. But there are some, you know, instances where they are good. So I think Chris Nolan is going to pull out all the stops and just like basically do an awesome job. So 88% to like 90%, and I predict the first weekend. It's July, so there's gonna be a lot of people out. They're really hyping the advanced ticket sales, so that might help out a lot. So I'm gonna predict 150 to 170 million dollars its opening weekend. 170 might be a lot for a non-3D, but I think it could do it because it's still an IMAX, and IMAX tickets are expensive too. So anywhere ranging from there, and the lifetime is probably going to be 490 to 520 million. I don't think it's going to reach the 533 that the first one did, but it's still going to be respectable, and, you know, a lot of money. It's going to be a big movie for the summer. There you have it, and that's the end of my discussion video. That's probably going to be the last Dark Knight Rises video I'm going to make until the release date, and probably just like that'll be the review. So I hope you enjoyed this video, my ramblings and whatnot. So until my next video, I'll catch you guys later.